I'm Shulin, a multidimensional coach devoted to helping you remember who you are and move forward with clarity, purpose, and inspired action. My work blends grounded coaching with intuition-based tools like Reiki, astrology, channeling, and Akashic Healing. I hold space of sacred neutrality where you can hear your soul clearly and take aligned, heart-led action. Inside this space, we explore your purpose, intuition, relationships, goals, and what's truly calling you forward. So today I'm joined by Michael Santos, and I'm so honored that he agreed to share a glimpse of his multidimensional journey and our work together with you. So, hi, Michael. Thanks for being here.
Thank you so much for having me. It's an honor.
Yeah. Okay. So let's start with how we originally connected and came to know each other. Do you want to speak a little bit about that?
Yeah, sure. I originally met Shulin in the beginning of 2024 through my mother, who she's an amazing real estate agent in the Hudson Valley, New York area. And I really just believe that the universe connected them together and me as well. Around this time specifically, I personally was going through a real spiritual awakening, if you want to call it. I just graduated college. I went through a breakup, first real breakup, and I was just really in a time where I was really asking those deep questions about myself. Who am I? What is my purpose here? Who am I destined to be? And I wanted to really live a life that felt aligned, not just, um, in the eyes of others, but really my true self. And I remember hearing my mom speak about highly of Shu Lin and her energy and what she brought. And I remember I had my first Akashic record session with Shu Lin, and it just was like an eye-opening experience for me. I felt this energy because I was really discovering new wisdom and information about energy, about chakras. This is when I first got introduced to that. But when I had the session with Shulin, I really just felt that energy, even though it was online. I just felt like, you know, it was really almost like a shift in my life. That was like a chapter. And shortly after, uh, I had my first business. Um, I had my first business event and I just felt honored. I felt like aligned to invite you to be a part of it. And she did an amazing job. I'm still to this day, I have family members who speak about um, your experience with my grandmother specifically. She had a friend who her son passed away. And she had visited, local mediums and tried to connect with him, but until my event with Shulin, she was able to really have her first real experience connecting with him, being able to visualize, see him, and actually feel the energy, not just, imagine. But I really believe that Shulin, her energy and her wisdom was able to set the environment, set the frequency, the vibration in that room to really allow um, my grandmother's friend to connect with her son. So that was just a very touching, very deep moment. And I just felt, amazing and honored to have you a part of that event. And I feel just as amazed to be here today. And thank you so much for inviting me.
Michael, that's awesome. I'm so moved by so much of what you said. That event was incredible, and I want to touch on that in just a few minutes. And I want to go back to what you shared about where you were at in your life when we met, around graduating college, having a breakup. Those are such significant times in a person's life, especially graduating college and kind of coming out in the world after so many years of a certain structure. And then really being on the spot of, wow, what do you want to do with your life? And then not to mention having a breakup on top of that. And actually, I didn't even, when you and I met, connected by your mom, who is an incredible realtor and sold a couple houses for me. And she and I really connected. And it was amazing to know that she was talking to you about me. And actually, what she shared with me was that you were asking these questions and you were really drawn to energy and chakras and things of a spiritual nature. So it just made so much sense for us to connect. And yeah, it's such a significant time. And you mentioned that our session together it created some shifts for you. So I'm curious, what stood out to you? What felt different? What was your experience like working with me when we had our session?
The first thing that really stands out to me when I'm remembering just now is um, my breath and our conscious, taking the time to really breathe. And I noticed when I, was breathing in, a specific or a slowed pattern, a conscious pattern, that's when I was really able to feel my emotions more deeply and also understand almost and remember this knowing that sometimes like in our life, we can feel a little stuck at times, we can go through our own battles, but when you consciously breathe, and I feel like when you're with somebody who can have that intention of setting that energy, setting that intention, that can help somebody really access their own intuition, their own power. So I really felt that during our session, just being able to close my eyes, being able to breathe consciously and connect and really feel things that you sometimes won't always feel if you don't take that time to really go into yourself, to really feel those emotions, to really um, see those things. So that's something that really stood out to me, and I felt like I was just beginning to practice, meditation, beginning to practice conscious breathing. But in that very moment during our session is when I really felt something like click, and I noticed like, wow, this is not just something that you practice and it's like a little, you know habit or hobby that, it's cool, I meditate here. It's more like, wow, this is so much deeper than what we've been told. Like, we are very powerful, we really are like the creators of our reality. And I feel like when you really get into that state, into that frequency, that's when you're able to be aware that you really are creating that reality, and you're able to remember things that sometimes just didn't click before in your life.
Yeah, that's beautifully said. So let's talk about that a little bit. What did you find shifted for you as a result of us working together? And it could be energetic, emotional, your daily life.
I believe just at that time period, I was able to receive like downloads of information about, like you mentioned, chakras, about energy. And, I was at a period of my life where I really wasn't 100% sure what I wanted to do. But during that time period, when I was able to be introduced to this conscious breath work and energy, I got ideas and that have helped me establish my business and my platform on Instagram, Three King Protocol. That's a design in the background. With my family, my father, my brother, we started this business, and it's changed, it's shifted. It started off probably a year prior to me being introduced to you, and it was really um, just a fun family podcast, but it's shifted, and we've gone down different paths towards, more conscious spiritual concepts. And I just love bringing it all together. And I feel like my creative essence has been able to flourish during that specific time period. And, just before being in school, in high school and college, for me, those were amazing times. And I'm so grateful to have those times. But sometimes you don't always connect to your true um, who you truly feel like what resonates with you during those periods of time, because it's a pretty busy time. You have a lot of outside expectations put up upon you. Um, and I feel like it's all part of the journey, and I'm definitely grateful for that. But just what really stood out to me during that Akashic record session, it was like that was the shift. That was the moment where I realized um, I'm going to be the person who heals myself. I'm the person who sets the tone. I'm the person who needs to hold myself accountable. And it felt like, you would think that's a lot of pressure, but in a way it felt almost relieving. It felt like, wow, like, all of the stress that I feel or all the outside noise, it doesn't have to be mine. And when you really separate, all those thoughts from what you're really feeling, you can sometimes get to the root of why you're feeling that and then just heal. So I know 2024 was a very healing time for me, and it was a very exciting time for me to meet you and to collaborate on our experience. And I'm just very grateful for that and for this time here.
Yeah, me too. Me too. I really am. And it sounds like I can really hear from you how the turning point was almost like you said, coming together in our session and having an experience, like just getting to be in the vibration of the healing energy, connect with your breath. And it sounds like you were able to really allow the wisdom and the divine inspiration to flow through you from that point forward.
Yeah, absolutely. It's
Yeah.
I feel like everyone has their own, version of their divine, but I truly believe that it was around that time period where I realized that to look inward, to feel inward, and I feel like that's where our true source of power comes from within. And
Mhm.
it's also where a lot of our traumas, a lot of our pain, a lot of our anxiety is also stored in our body within. But through having somebody who can help you create that environment, like an Akashic Records healing session, like Shulin, can really help somebody to, who is not familiar with, meditation or, those inner feelings, to really connect and really help them get on the right path so that they can understand that everyone has this, true power within them to do so.
Yeah, no, it's so true. It's just a matter of coming together in the right environment with the right person or guide to catalyze that for someone. Yeah. So tell us a little bit about your business because it's really cool how it's evolved. And also, then we'll talk a little bit about the event that you invited me to. But yeah, what is your business?
So my business is a online platform, conscious platform where we post enlightening content. We offer enlightening healing products. We have 7 chakra drinks. So there's superfood chakra smoothies and juices that are based off of the 7 chakras in your body. So for each flavor that we have is based off of a specific chakra. And we also sell chakra hoodies. I'm wearing my crown chakra purple hoodie. I felt like it was just aligned to wear that today to really understand, more about myself and my journey. So if you guys are interested and feel aligned to chakra related products and are interested in, trying a good tasting smoothie that's good for you and also is infused with vibrations, that's a part of our process. We play specific music, whether it's with one of my speakers here, I'll play, on YouTube some vibrational healings that resonate with each specific chakra, and that resonance, that energy is going to go into each drink while we're playing that in the blending process. So that's just a little bit of what separates, our smoothie just from the regular smoothie. And currently, we're actually going through a rebranding and an ingredient change. So there may be some new flavors, some new changes to the original 7 chakras. But if you want to taste them, you can always go online right now, and we ship them frozen, and so that you can enjoy them wherever you are, right from your doorstep. 7 chakra drinks. You can buy all 7, or you could have just one of them, depending on which is your preference and need at this time. But as more about our business, it really just started off after college. Like I mentioned, I was speaking with my father and my little brother, Jordan, and I knew that I wanted to do something like a business, like owning a business, something that felt empowered, something that felt um, like we could unleash our creativity and be almost like in control of our own destiny. That's at least how I felt. And I know coming together with my little brother, who's very creative, he's very hardworking, he's great at building things and putting things together. And my father, who I feel like we share a very deep spiritual connection, like a resonance about these specific topics. He is a culinary chef, and he's been vegan for the past 8 years, so he's really wise when it comes to specific healing remedies, healing ingredients that I was not originally um, so conscious of, but coming together, we helped to create this product, and it's really been a journey. I feel like, I'm really excited to share in the future some of our projects and experiences that I'm really excited to announce that's still in the works. So if you're somebody who really loves to, you know, look within, ask deeper questions, heal, and also, just has a curious mind. I encourage you guys to follow us on Instagram, TikTok at Three King Protocol. It's number three, KING. Pro as in professional, to call. And, everybody, regardless of what your profession is, can have that feeling of empowerment like a king. And, it doesn't matter what your gender is, what your race is, everybody can have that feeling. And that's, you know, what we like to embody.
That's so awesome, Michael. Thank you so much for sharing. And I can attest to the drinks are amazing. And I actually didn't realize that the frequencies were a part of the production. But what I did know, and I love, and I'm curious if you're still doing this, but on the bottles, right, you have a QR code that can link directly to the sound frequency that associates with that chakra, right?
Yes,
So when people are drinking it, they can be listening to the sound frequency. I love that so much. And that's really a chakra activation.
absolutely. Yes.
That's awesome. Okay, cool. So we will include the your website and social handles in the show notes, and then people can also order the hoodies, right? The different color chakra hoodies.
Yep, you can get
Cool.
one of your favorite or all seven. My
Awesome.
personal favorite is the purple one, so that's why I'm wearing it right now.
Yeah. Um, okay, so then as part of your company, after you and I had a session, you mentioned this earlier that you invited me to an event. So you were inspired, and I don't know if that was part of kind of the shift in these downloads that you were getting after our session, but you put on this event. So what was the event and why were you inspired to invite me to come and speak and hold space for your audience?
Yeah, absolutely. So, I really wanted to introduce my business and, what I felt compelled to share and what resonated with me, with my family, with friends in a grand opening event that I knew wanted to really connect with the people who were going to be there and not just make it a corporate business event, but I wanted it to really be an event that people could really feel the energy, feel what, the things that I felt, resonated with me that I've learned within that short period of time. So I knew I wanted to have meditation included in the event. I wanted to introduce sound healing and an Akashic Records type of session for the people attending. And I just felt like there was no one better to invite to be a part of that event than Shu Lin. And she really did an amazing job. I still, to this day, even though this event took place in the beginning of 2024 and we're almost going into 2026 now, I still have family members and friends asking about when's the next event going to be and when is, Shu Lin going to be a part of the next one because I want to just do another Akashic Records reading session. And it really, for me, it couldn't have went any better. And yeah, I'm really excited for, the future and possibly um, connecting and having more people be introduced to this type of experience if it's aligned for them.
Yeah, yeah, the event was incredible. And so you mentioned earlier, because there was something really significant that happened for, I know many of the participants came up and they had a very beautiful experience. And there was one in particular, you mentioned her earlier, who had a very profound experience during the Akashic Healing segment. Do you want to speak to that again? What happened?
Yes. So my grandmother's friend um, who attended the event, she lost her son. And, she was going through a very tough time, a very difficult time, as anyone can imagine. Um, but she was there in that space, and when Shu Lin was presenting her Akashic Records session and really setting the tone, setting the frequency for the whole room, I feel like that's when you could really feel the shift, the energy, the conscious intention and energy that she put out through that room that allowed other people to resonate with that. And she had mentioned that she had not been able to connect with her son or see her son since she had passed, and she really wanted to. She really wanted to feel a sign that he was okay, that is he in heaven or wherever she believed. She wanted to feel like, her his energy. And that space that Shu Lin really created, that that environment, that vibration that allowed her to connect with the vibration of her son. And it was just, very emotional, as you can imagine, but also very healing in a sense to know that we really are more than just our bodies, our physical bodies. We hear this in religion. Some religions speak about it. Many people might believe this, but to really feel it in full time, in real time, to know that, on this journey, this experience of life, we are more than just human beings. We have an energy and soul that is eternal, and we have the ability to connect with that and to feel that and to actually feel the love, not just to imagine, but to know. And, I believe, belief is almost like the first stage of a lot of our spiritual journeys, but then there becomes, practicing and then knowing. And I feel like in that moment, my grandmother's friend was able to realize, to shift from, maybe thinking or feeling or wishing or believing to really feeling and knowing. And it was just very empowering. It's very empowering to for me just to see that, because for me personally, a part of what I feel has motivated me to join this spiritual journey, since I was a kid, I've always felt like I was, curious, would ask a lot of questions, and I would want to know, like, I had this almost like kind of knowing, like, there's got to be something more to this. Like, what happens when, we die? Like, I've seen movies, children movies, where, a character dies, and I know, everyone dies, you're told, so what happens to us? And, along my spiritual awakening and healing process, I realized that energy cannot be destroyed, it can only be transformed. And that really was an eye-opening, statement, and it really resonated with me. And to really have an Akashic Records session, during my enlightening experience, where seeing in real time somebody actually feel that and be able to know that in a space filled with, a good amount of people, that was very empowering. And I hope, awaken some people to know, who are watching this right now, that, if there's somebody who you're grieving, if there's somebody who's going through a hard time, who lost a family member, or is really grieving, to know that this is not our last and only form, and that you can connect with that person and feel guided and feel loved and feel assured on your journey, and know that there's always a greater purpose to this whole experience. So it really was, touching.
Mm. Yeah, thank you so much for diving a little deeper into that. And I remember she shared with me after, and I think some other folks shared with me after, that it had been like a couple years, I think, since he passed, right? And she had tried, like you said earlier, she had tried different mediums or healers and just hadn't connected yet until that event when we opened up the records and created the energetic space. And it was amazing. And then she came up when I opened up a time for people to come up and have some personal questions, and she was one of them. And it
Yeah,
was so moving. Yeah, yeah. And I really appreciate your highlighting, because it is one thing to sort of read about or hear about these types of experiences, but when you actually have them, and that's why I always encourage people to, have a journal or voice record and just note things down so that we record our experiences, because it can be sometimes so unusual, especially when we're first starting out on the spiritual path and we have everything outside of us telling us that life is a certain way. But
hmm
like you said, there's so much more. And when you have an experience like that, when you have a tangible experience, it's so precious, and it's something that actually you can go back to. And it's beautiful too that not only did you have an experience in your own personal session when we did the Akashic Healing, but then you were able to witness what happened for someone else. And I love how you've carried that with you as like a reminder. I always say our stories become each other's lifelines. And it's so important that we share, especially our spiritual experiences, so that we can encourage and reinforce for each other. Yes, that is true, right?
absolutely.
Yeah, yeah. Thank you so much for sharing. So just in wrapping up, and thank you again so much for everything that you're sharing. What would you say to someone who's maybe feeling drawn to this type of work, but also maybe a little hesitant or unsure?
I would say just to be curious, to follow your intuition, follow your, people say your gut feeling, follow your gut and listen to it. We all have, sometimes our voices in our head that can get, crazy at times, can tell us certain things or make us feel certain emotions. But when you do, consciously breathe and really feel, with an open heart, and you're in a space that you feel safe, whether it's your home or whether it's with someone you love or a Akashic Records medium like Shulin, that is where you can really know that there's nothing really to be afraid of. There's nothing you have to worry about um, when you're in that safe space. And when you're in that safe space, that's when for me, I'm able to discern, those scary thoughts or those things that might make me question or ask, is this really real, or is this something I should be worried or scared about? But you're almost like your heart or your gut, your solar plexus chakra, where in your heart area, this is where you hold that intuition and that real feeling of like knowing, even if you can't truly explain it. We all have these feelings that kind of guide us. And then when you can connect with that state, that frequency, that energy, that's where that can be your guide, that can help you to now test out those feelings. Now you step out into the world in your life and you see, it almost reassures you. Um, Shulin, we were just talking before about synchronicities. And for me, I feel like on the spiritual journey, something that for me tells me that I'm on the right path is synchronicity, seeing numbers, seeing phrases that almost like, wow, who could have put this here in place? What are the chances that this connects? I was just thinking about a person and they called. I was just, in a situation where I wasn't sure what to do, but I trusted my gut. I went with my gut, and maybe that was the decision that wasn't, advised by my parents. It wasn't advised by my, what I grew up to believe, but I listened to that feeling. And now the universe in real time is showing me that and rewarding me for for listening. And that's something that I've noticed about energy, about vibration. They say authenticity is one of the highest vibrations. So when you really listen to yourself, your true authentic self, you'll notice, the field around you is just so much more enlightening place to be. It really just feels like, heaven on earth. So, for somebody who's really in a dark place or, in a place of questioning or uncertainty, understand that, for one, you are this powerful being more than just your body, and that, energy vibration can dictate almost what you feel and how you feel. And the higher you raise that vibration by certain things, by loving yourself, by speaking, powerful things about yourself, and also listening to yourself, because sometimes it can be difficult to speak powerful affirmations and loving things and just attract the life that you want and feel empowered if you really don't feel that way and you really don't believe that. So that's when, you know, I say asking questions, being open-minded, being curious to getting to the bottom of why you're experiencing what you're experiencing, and having the courage to look within and really self-analyze your state. And that is where I feel like the true empowerment starts to manifest in your life.
Mm, so well said. You're so wise, Michael. I think maybe you answered your own question that we're about to hop into session about. But yeah, no, I love it. I love connecting with you. You are so wise naturally. Um, and you speak so beautifully about the spiritual path and energy. And putting two and two together, I really appreciate also how you shared. It's like when someone's going through a time of questioning or challenge and taking that time to dive into, how is it of service to us? right? Can it be? And even the way you spoke about having the session that we had together, just kind of even holding that space for you when you were going through that time to help kind of have that vibration and even that support so that your natural wisdom that was wanting to come through, it could kind of clear away whatever was kind of distracting or in the way so that it could flow through you. So it's really your wisdom coming through. But sometimes it's helpful to have that support, that containment of that level of vibration and consciousness to almost help it birth through you and come through so you can make it through those difficult, challenging times or those times of questioning, and yet still based in your own wisdom. Yeah. So, anything else that you want to share or express before we wrap up?
Just, I'm just so grateful to, share this space with you today, and just for you inviting me. It's just been amazing. I'm really excited for this next path that I'm on, and that I feel like we're all on. Everybody who's on the spiritual journey, we're just entering the new year almost. So I feel like great things, great shifts, great changes are coming, and I'm just really excited and grateful.
I love it. Awesome. Well, Michael, thank you so much for being here. Like I said, your presence, your words are such a gift. And so if you're watching this and you're feeling the pull, I do offer soul guidance sessions and mentorships. And you can reach out at or explore more at my website, shulinnaurora.com. So we'll see you soon. Thank you, Michael.
Thank you.